and welcome to We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard, and I shall be your host for today. Now, this is a getting to know you show, and joining me tonight is Dan Alcantara, and he is from Dragori Games, and he is all the way across the other side of the world in Brazil, and he's come to, well, we're going to talk to him about his up-and-coming Kickstarter campaign, which is a couple of months away. But we just, we spoke a couple of times over Twitter, and we decided to have a chat just now, just to help, I guess, put the word out there for his up-and-coming game, which is called Arena the Contest. So, hello, Dan.
Hello. I'm very happy and honored to. You just said earlier to me that I am the first Brazilian you're having on your podcast, and I hope I can meet the expectations.
That's okay. I'm very happy to have you on. As I said, we started. I think it was a brief conversation on Twitter. And then we kind of have been exchanging emails back and forward. And even though your Kickstarter is a good couple of months away, after looking at your website and kind of finding out a little bit more about the game, I thought it would be good to get you on,
Actually, when you first contacted me on Twitter, it was not that many months away. We were expecting to launch it on very early 2018, in January. But then we postponed it to get some more things done to the game. Yeah.
You've got
we're expecting about March right now, at the end of March, maybe the beginning of April, but we don't have an exact date.
Yeah, and as I think Jamie Stegmaier said, you launch a quick Kickstarter when it's ready to be launched. Yeah. You don't kind of launch it before. For anybody who is listening to us for the first time, thank you for joining us. The reason that we do this is because we believe that there's quite simply not enough podcasts about board games. And we're certainly only one of two that's in Scotland. So you've got either ourselves or you've got Unlucky Frog Gaming, who you should also check out, the other Scottish podcast people out there. The other reason that we do this is because we like to speak to board game creators. So I'm very honoured that Dan has agreed to come on tonight and tell us an awful lot more about Arena the Contest. So the normally what we would do is we would talk a little bit about your history with kind of the board game hobby. So do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about kind of how you got into board gaming or tabletop yourself? As a starter, yeah.
Okay, sure. Well, I am very fortunate to have parents that enjoy board games. So at a very early age, they introduced me to the ultimate board game, the perfect blend of strategy and tactics, which is chess.
All right. Okay.
I immediately fell in love and started to study it 6 hours a day, winning tournaments and all. My parents quickly started to lose all games against me, so we shifted to more light-minded games of luck like Monopoly.
You swapped chess for Monopoly.
Yeah, but just among us. I was a huge fan of electronic games. My Super Nintendo and afterwards PlayStation were on every single day. Yeah. But somehow my happiest memories are the weekends when my parents would ignore how tired they were from having worked hard all week and sat at the table to play something with me and my brother. Flash forward many years, I graduate from law school And suddenly I feel a bit too old to be playing video games. I still play every single Final Fantasy that comes out, but I'm nowhere near that impressionable kid who had too much free time to enjoy everything that came out.
Yeah.
And then I enter kind of a sad moment when I start working, and I rarely get to use my mind while having fun. I mean, I use my mind at work, but it's no fun at all.
Okay.
And I have fun while watching TV and playing stupid games, but I don't really use much my mind. And that moment coincided with the best event that could have happened to the board game industry. The moment when multiplayer offline electronic games stopped making sense.
Yes.
Everybody suddenly had good Wi-Fi connection, and every single game, however simple or small, started having multiplayer servers online.
All right.
So everybody could play them at the comfort of their own homes. So purchasing 2, 3, 4 controllers for my PlayStation stopped making sense. Why would you play on split screens anymore? Right? So and now, I mean, later on, and by that I mean nowadays with smartphones, everybody can suddenly talk to everybody anywhere at any time, and you don't have to describe something anymore. You can simply Google image stuff, take a snapshot for a screen, and send it, and this whole process takes seconds. Anyway, what I mean is meeting with people to talk is making less sense, and meeting people to play electronic games makes even less sense.
Yeah.
But playing board games makes sense. It's the perfect excuse to meeting some friends on a regular basis, or even meeting new people. It's the perfect counter move to these driving forces of the information age that try to put distance between people. But to answer your question specifically, I guess
you're sounding like a lost student, kind of graduate. This is your opening argument as to why we should be playing board games. I'm kind of, if I can jump back a little bit. Did you, with regards to the chess?
Yeah.
Did you do that quite seriously? Did you go into tournaments?
Yes, I went to the club on my hometown.
Yeah,
and at the time we did have computers, but they weren't nearly as good as today as far as chess programs are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But I went there. After school, I had lunch, and then I took some time to myself, like to take a nap. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the club, and then it was almost 4 p.m. and I stayed there until maybe 11 p.m. when my mother would pick me up. Then I would read books and solve puzzles, all the works.
Did you do competitions? Did you go into local competitions against other? I mean, what level did you reach with the chess? Did you become quite well known? Were you quite high up, or?
No, I was never much known. I used to win some couple of tournaments, but it was not something we separate here. Chess tournaments organized by the federation, and chess tournaments that are dedicated to school players. So I played with other students. Of other schools, other states. The farthest I got was state champion from my age. I don't remember actually what age I was. I think it was under 14, under 12. I don't remember, but it's something like that.
And you were state champion?
Yeah. And then I suddenly stopped playing. I don't know why. I think to dedicate myself to studying, so I could get to a good law school. Then I slowly drifted away from chess. To this day, I am a fan. To this day, I follow the news and I purchase books and follow chess stuff online.
Do you ever have the occasional game of chess then?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you play chess with your parents then?
Yes, I played when they introduced me to the game. Now they don't like it anymore.
It's probably because you used to play it for 6 hours.
Yeah, it was suddenly not fun anymore. I would point them out. Why did you make this move? It makes no sense.
Oh dear! Why did you?
But then, fortunately, my brother got into chess as well. He's 7 years younger than me.
Okay.
And when we meet, we had some fierce struggles of chess. Nowadays, we only play arena when we meet. Of
course. Well, that's a completely different thing. I take it that is chess been a strong influence on arena then? Yeah.
Yes, okay. It is.
Okay. So you jumping forward again, and sorry to interrupt, but you said you the kind of the introduction of online video gaming took you back into board gaming. So what was the?
Yes, that's when the board game industry. I think that's the reason why the board game industry exploded in the world.
Yeah.
But my specific personal introduction to this modern age of board games, I think it happened much more recently than for most of you guys from the community I have been meeting on a daily basis. It was a few years back. My then girlfriend, now fiancée, took me to a board game store on a weekend. On this board game store, her brother and a friend of his were organizing a tournament of a board game they were developing.
Uh-huh.
And when I got there, man, it was insane. People shouting and laughing and having fun. Every single table was with a prototype version of the then Arena. The name was going to be Arena, but then we added some more things to call it Arena the Contest. Mm-hmm. So I was a later introduction to the game. It was kind of made already, at least the PvP portion. We then later on added a cooperative mode, game mode, including an epic campaign, which we call kind of a legacy mode because it has a background story with tough decisions that but anyway, we're talking about how I was introduced to board games, and that was the event. I can say that Arena the Contest has introduced me to the board game world, and since then I have been playing like a maniac.
What? How many do you have? A lot of board games then? Have you?
I have a few. I have to say I don't have that impressive shelfies we see on board game groups, but I have some.
But on the other hand, I bet you've played all the games that you have because
yes.
You see people that say, "Look at my entire room full of board games," and it's like, well, have you played them all? And they're like, I've played 25% of all the games. You see that?
No, but that is a very important topic because that's a very important thing I like to address when I talk about the development of Arena the Contest, because it is a philosophy that drove our entire creation process.
All right.
That is, my partners and I grew up in Brazil, a struggling country where the average yearly income is about $8,000 yearly, average. That makes us appreciate the real value of things. An accessible and infinitely replayable game like chess was invaluable in my childhood, and that is a motto to our company: making games for tables, not shelves. I'm always impressed with these shelfie pictures I see online. Some people are intense players, and they actually get everything to their tables. But I have already read some curious statements, like one guy who said he played less than, you said 25% of the games on his shelves, and another one who says he considers a board game valuable or at least worth his money when it gets 10 hours of gameplay. 10.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let me just take this moment now and clearly state this right here, right now. You may end up not liking Arena the Contest, but if you do, and 95% of the people who tried it does, you can play it for years and never get sick of it. This is truly an infinitely replayable game with a ton of different experience, and not 1 cent you spend on it is gonna go to waste. That was something we had very clearly in our minds as we were developing the game. We wanted to make something that would last and would feel valuable.
Mm-hmm. So how was Arena the Contest? Was that already like a formed game? I mean, when you came in, what part were you playing in actually the development of the game? What's your role within Dragori Games just now?
Yeah, I started kind of like a playtester for the PvP version. It was immensely different than it is today. And then I made several contributions, especially on the cooperative version of the game, because as a writer I got to develop the entire story behind the cooperative mode. And I also took a very important part in developing the world in which Arena is set. We have created an entire rich world. We call it Tanaris. And this is the world where the game is developed. We have a world map where you can check on it when you're going to play the journey of the epic campaign. And I think that my background on law actually helped a lot on developing the rules and making the logical connections between hypotheses and consequences. So I helped perfect and change a lot of the player versus player game mode. Mm-hmm. And I had a crucial part in player versus environment or cooperative mode, which is basically a dungeon crawler with a story.
Okay.
You can also play cooperative mode. We were very aware of people that like to get into the action fast. So cooperative mode, you can play it in any particular sequence you like, without following the background story. You can select a mission on the map, and then you have the primary objective and side objectives that go from defending a temple for 6 rounds against an invasion, to escorting a VIP, to simply defeating the boss. But we also have this other separate game mode within cooperative mode, which is following a background story in which you take tough decisions, and you have a branching story with several endings. And I think that is the part of the game in which I had most participation.
So the mechanics behind it, is it a kind of like a multifaceted kind of dungeon crawler? Because looking through the website, you've got some beautiful looking miniatures. I think one of the reasons I said I have to speak to you and have to get you on the show and we have to have this conversation was because the strength of the artwork, the way the miniatures look, the entire presentation of the game is stunning to me. A lot of people, I guess, that are a fan of board games are very much into the visual side of things. But
yes, art is king, they say.
Yeah, but I mean, what if when they've got the box? What are they going to find when they open the box? Is it like a semi-dungeon crawler? Is it a campaign? Is it a lot of different things? Is that what you're aiming to do with
yeah,
with the game?
when I said that we wanted to make a really valuable game, part of it is the wide array of experiences you can have with Arena. I think the thing that what really sets Arena the Contest apart from other games, in my opinion, is how you can easily adjust the game settings to fit your preferences. We understand how much some people like cooperative games more, while others enjoy the thrill of PvP. So we put both experiences into the game. You can play a fast action game or a long adventure. You can build your own arena or not. You can roleplay or not. You can read more story and interact more with other players or focus on the action over the board. You can play a simpler game or apply optional features that increase the depth of strategical elements that compose the game. So when you open the game, you will find 2 game modes. You have 3 books, 1 rule book, 1 quest guide, which tells you the characteristics and settings of the scenarios and missions you will play on cooperative mode. And you have a campaign tome that we call a campaign tome, which contains the story of the epic campaign, which is the one of the modes of the campaign mode, one of the modes of the cooperative mode. It contains several clues and information you gather after beating a mission and such. You will get also lots of heroes. They are the player characters, so to say, of the game. They are the ones who will fight in the arena. But basically, Arena is a tactical fantasy combat board game. It is for 1 to 8 players. You can play solo or up to 8 players. And it has these 2 game modes. In player versus player, 2 teams of 3 or 4 heroes will fight each other in the arena. The concept is really that simple. Though we do have a rich background and setting that I invite everybody to learn at dragorigames.com and at our Facebook page. And depending on the number of players, you can control an entire team, like when you play chess, or a single hero, like when you play League of Legends or Dungeons and Dragons, something like that. You can customize the battle grid with tiles that impact the gameplay. There will be dozens of tiles like lava that damages heroes that touch it, walls that block heroes' vision and movement, and more. You can assemble over 1 trillion different arenas with these tiles. But if you like super fast setup times, the back of the board will come with a pre-assembled arena made by our illustrator that made all the artwork for the game, almost all the artwork for the game. And it is especially designed for a super cool, strategically deep, tactically intense, and balanced player versus player fight. The miniatures are the heroes now. Each performs a specific combat role. Combat roles determine the hero's stats and passive power, but even within a combat role, the heroes who represent it are vastly different, because each hero has 4 different attacks, and every single one of them is unique in the game. That means you can have thousands of different compositions and combos and counter picks and strategies to explore, even before the match even starts. And this is only on the PvP game mode. Cooperative mode, it is a bit different in the sense that you assemble a single team of 4 heroes, and they will face automated enemies on specific scenarios with unique objectives that range from, well, I already said, right, escorting a VIP, rescuing prisoners who are being held hostage by orcs in a citadel. So it will keep coming back to the table.
So that's important. I mean, you've said again and again that you want a game that provides value to people. Yeah. In terms of the artwork, the artists that you have involved in the game, are they remote to you, or are they somebody that's actually sitting in on the game and helping with the design? Because it's interesting that have they had some say in the type of characters that you're going to be bringing into the game as well? Because I'm just looking at the gallery of heroes and foes that you have, and you're looking at people. You got a large number of kind of various, a whole diverse kind of range of characters. Everything from Azimor the Red Dragon to just things like the Sentinels, to the actual main heroes kind of thing. Do you have kind of like quite in-depth discussions with the kind of the artist? Have they actually come up to you with ideas and said, have you thought about doing this type of hero because I can draw this type of hero into it? Has it been quite a shared experience?
Yes, that is, I think, one of the coolest, at least for me, because I have this background on fantasy and writing. But I think one of the coolest experiences of making this game was developing the characters, because including the expansion we plan on launching with the Kickstarter, we will have a total of 28 heroes, and every single one of them has a background story, and they have unique attacks, and we try to put as much synergy as we could between the attacks and the way they look, and integration with the artist. The artist received the prototype of our game. We have discussions with him about the game design. He's not as deeply involved as the Dragori Games partners. But he does include observations and things he wants to try. The art director of the project is actually one of my partners. It is my brother-in-law. He's the art director of the project. And he has deep discussions that relays back to us with the artist. And we have some interesting adjustments and modifications we made based on this relationship. For instance, if you take our bard, it's Jade, the bard.
Jade, yeah.
Before that, before she was a bard, she was a djinn.
All right, yeah, okay. Basically, like Aladdin, it's DGIAN.
Yes,
it's like a mystical. Yes. It's like the genie of the lamp would be considered a genie.
Yes,
basically, yeah.
Yes, she was one of the heroes that took most modifications. You know, people simply didn't like to play with the djinn. They didn't pick the djinn for some reason I can't really explain. They didn't feel drawn to the djinn.
Yeah.
And then we changed it to the bard, and our artist made spectacular work with her. And we changed a little bit some of the attacks to be a bit more closer to what she can provide. And suddenly she's one of the most picked characters out there. People love her, and they make combos with her ukulele. It's the weapon I call her. It's a mixture of ukulele with banjo. It's the ukulele.
I've seen that, yeah.
And the artist has many credits for this character because he really helped develop her, and we made many modifications. We actually plan to have a separate and single blog post just to talk about developing Jade. It's a really cool story. Okay. But that's it. We are really. I'm really actually personally excited about gradually disclosing a bit more of the history and stories behind each character, because every hero is really unique. None of them is there just to fill up space, you know.
Yeah. I mean, is it because when you're writing kind of like fantasy characters, it's very, very easy to fall in a trap of having this is the angry warrior who's misunderstood because he's had a dark past, or this is the strong woman who goes around fighting men kind of thing. So it's very easy to kind of fall into that trap.
We fell into some of these stereotypical characters. We didn't manage to altogether escape from it, but we have some interesting, original, unique perspectives on some of the characters, and everybody is invited to go and check them out. For instance, one of my we also make play tests about the stories. It's not play tests; it's like reading tests. And one of the things that people most enjoyed, for instance, was knowing that our Minotaur. Is that how you say in English? Minotaur. Yeah. He's one of the most intelligent. He's actually one of the most intelligent heroes in our pool.
All right, okay.
And he's he's the master of arms, and he is polite and educated and verboragic, and it was a nice surprise for people to see that.
Because then you've got people like, say, Zani, the fire sorcerer, who he just looks like he'd kick your butt, basically. He doesn't look happy. And
he's a mean character.
He looks really, really kind of like he's just had a bad day, and then somebody has set fire to his hands. So he's not kind of happy at all. I mean,
he has a flavor sentence that says, "Fire can warm, brighten, gather. I use it to blind, burn, destroy."
He says like he's had a bad day in the office. He's maybe had that one extra bit of paperwork,
and that reflects a bit of his history. He grew up in a village. It was the only village in the world where people could control fire, produce fire with their own hands. And they used that fire to gather people on bonfires and to illuminate the city and all, but Zanak couldn't produce fire, and that made him angry, and people cast him away, and he resented that. And when he discovered how to use his powers, he would put it up a notch, and instead of brighten, he would blind. Instead of warming, he would burn.
So, I mean, how involved? I mean, you mentioned that you are doing a lot of writing. So is a lot of the backstory, is that coming from you? I mean, have you got other characters that you would like to bring in to the game yourself? Are you still very interested in doing a lot more kind of creative writing for the game?
Yeah, it's tough to be able to develop good quality stories because it requires a severe amount of time, and there is just so much going on with the imminent launch of the game. Mm-hmm. But I have already written maybe 7 complete stories, a lot of other short stories from other heroes, and all of them already have their skeleton, their outlines made. And one thing that I find interesting is that their stories are not simply narrated as a third-person omniscient view, like you're used to. Their stories are told through a wide array of different instruments, like a piece of newspaper from one of the cities in the game, and a piece of the traveling journal, a diary that is found somewhere. There's even a forensic report in one of the stories from Hurik, our dwarf warrior. One part of his story is developed throughout a forensic report, maybe for an arena fight. That is something I really like about the development of the stories, because it really brings another level of immersion to the game. Reading a newspaper from the world, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, I guess, that normally what would happen is in a game like this, you would get your character card would be sitting in front of you, and it
Yeah,
would give
and their
you the
stories,
history.
and their stories slightly intertwine and culminate in then having to fight in the arena, because it's not fun to fight in the arena. They all have a purpose to be there. They don't just fight because they are warriors and they want the money or something like that. They all have a purpose for being there, and their stories slightly intertwined. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to when I get to be able to disclose their stories. I have already made the story of Neri, who is the elf.
Yes.
Hurik, the dwarf. Morlog, Katarina, the witch. Zanak, Juliet. Many of them already have. Thalia, the druid.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Cedric Garion. They all have already their own stories, and they are some of them are already started to be published on DragoriGames.com, but I had to stop it for a while to get the game done.
Okay, you've got miniatures in there, and they're computer graphic representations. Have you had any of the miniatures kind of made so you can see them, so you've had them in your hands yet, or is that a little while off?
Yeah, we already made some prototypes of miniatures.
Oh, right.
We are going to disclose them soon. We're having some of them painted. Others will compose a full prototype that we'll send to reviewers so they can shoot videos and talk about the game on previews.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they are not the same quality you can expect from the game box, because it is cost demanding. I don't know the right expression.
No. Yeah, it's expensive.
It's expensive to make the molds and be able to craft in the same quality of the manufacturer. But we are making some miniatures. We'll have a prototype done. It will not contain the 28 miniatures and heroes, but it will give people a good idea about how the game is played. With I think we're gonna make all 12 of the core box, or maybe 8. I don't know. We're gonna have one representative of each combat role. That is for sure.
Have you thought about using kind of standees as instead of having miniatures in the game to reduce the cost then?
Yes, we have thought about that. We have tried playing with standees, but the experience is at really another level when you play with miniatures.
Yeah.
But we made about 50 envelopes. It's a version of the game you can play. You can put every component on an envelope, and we are going to send these envelopes to reviewers, bloggers, and people who want to try out the game. And these envelope versions that we call, they have standees instead of miniatures.
Okay.
They have a graphic representation of the renders of the miniature, so people can take a look and see how the final product is gonna turn out. But that's it. They're gonna play with standees.
Okay. In terms of production of the game, are you hoping to get it kind of developed and manufactured in China? As seems to be the kind of the normal thing, yeah.
Yes, that's the standard due to simply the cost. And then we plan on doing what people recommend. There are many very good sources online. If you're listening to us and you are an aspiring designer / publisher, there are many good sources, like on James Math's blog and Jamie Stegmaier's blog. The standard is to have it manufactured in China, and then according to demand to distribute it to fulfillment centers on Europe, USA, depending on demand on Australia even.
With you guys being based in Brazil, how how welcoming have you found? I mean, have you spoke to any other kind of like board game bloggers, podcasters, other people like, say, myself, about covering the game?
Yes, we're starting to spread out to other people to see if they wanna try out the game, spread the word, get to know more, and they are all very receptive. Of course, they are all very entertaining, I would say. And we are actually very excited to know that in this information age that I spoke of earlier, that people from other countries with good ideas get to spread their word to the world. You take, for instance, many recent games on Kickstarter that are not based on the US.
Yes.
You say the Seventh Continent. Their designers are from Europe. It seems.
Yes.
The guys from Mythic Games who made Mythic Battle Pantheon and most recently Joan of Arc, they are from France, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it's really stimulating to us to see that it is possible, and I'm still baffled to know that there is some random guy in Thailand who is excited about her game and wants to know more, you know.
But I think, do you know what it is as well? Is that there are a lot of games being made in the UK. There are a lot of games in Kickstarter that are from America. But I think that what you get when you see like a board game from another country outside those areas is that you get you can get a different take on a genre. There was a game, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was a game that was all about airships fighting ships in the sky, basically, and I think the guy was I don't know if he was I think he was in Thailand, I think the guy was based. But it was a completely different kind of view of how things looked, and the way the graphics were presented, the way the story was done. It was done in a slightly different, it kind of freshened up that kind of genre. And I think that with the way Kickstarter's going, I think you're going to start seeing campaigns kind of running in, well, I already see them in Australia, I already see them in Canadian dollars, I see them in Australian dollars, I see them being run in, in krona, I think it's only a matter, you see them in euros. I think it's only a matter of time before Kickstarter continues to kind of branch out. And I also think that board gamers are one of the most open groups in terms of experiencing what they know in a new setting. So I think that's why I think everybody's interested. Nobody wants to miss out in the hobby, because there's so many Kickstarters coming out, there's always the danger that the next one that does something really differently or gets people excited, people don't want to miss out on that. So that's why I think when someone like yourselves, who are based in Brazil, are approaching bloggers and are approaching YouTubers and game previewers and reviewers, you're probably less likely to get somebody kind of saying, I'm not interested in looking at your game because you guys are based in a completely different country, kind of thing. I think, as you said, the age of communication and the way that a lot of board gamers are, they're generally quite curious and interested to see, well, if you're doing like a battle game or a campaign type game, what is it kind of going to be? Like
I stated earlier, also board gamers many board gamers play board games because it's the perfect excuse to meet a group of friends and to have fun and to meet new people. So they are always open to new ideas and things that are different. And about the diversity of approaches, it is undeniable that we have some cultural appropriations, influences that many people don't really get to see, because how many games they know that were designed by guys who were born and raised in Brazil,
I know,
But
I know.
yeah, and it's interesting to see. Many times I had this experience in watching foreign movies. I know USA, Hollywood, has these great productions with incredible budgets, and they are spectacular productions. But sometimes you see a foreign movie like from, I don't know, Sweden or something, or Southern Asia,
Yeah.
and you really find it interesting how they approach the story, how they tell a tale in a different manner, how different their view and approach is to something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With you being where you are, and you saying that obviously salaries and things like that are a lot lower than what you would expect in, the USA or the UK. Has it been more of a strain to get the resources together, the financial resources together, to have the art kind of created, to get the prototypes developed and things like that? Has it been more of a kind of a team effort in pulling the kind of the money together?
Yes, definitely. This is a huge problem because our currency is worth right now 3.3 times less than the US dollar.
Right, okay.
And even less than that if you count pounds or euro.
Yeah.
So it is really demanding, especially because one of the other things you said recently about people are open to getting to know our game. A huge part of that is the quality of our production. We are doing everything as perfectly as we can. Yeah. We are very perfectionists. The three of us from the Dragori Games.
Mm-hmm.
And to make something like that, we still don't have the resources to simply produce the game. To simply distribute and manufacture it and make it. But we do have the resources to make quality prototypes and quality product. It is a product that is being developed for the last 6 years. So
wow.
there is some part being saved in each of these past 6 years. We reached out to friends and family to help us with that, and everybody has been awesome, especially after they try the game, because they know it's a good idea that has a really extreme potential. And now that we are every single day seeing how the game is getting more and more ready, more and more finished, we're getting very excited and proud about what this game can become in the future.
Excellent. So do you have you thought about then a price? Because you've got miniatures in the game, it sounds like you're going to have a lot of characters in the game. That says lots of characters suggest lots of cards, suggest lots of cardboard, suggest a decent sized box. So have you decided on kind of like a cost per box? I guess you're going, when you go to Kickstarter with this, have you thought about an actual price point for what you're looking at charging people for?
Yeah, we have an idea. I wouldn't like to jump the...
No, yeah.
I don't know the expression in English, but to be ahead of myself and state some price point. But we are talking to many high quality manufacturers like Panda, GM, and Longpack, and we are since we recently made some adjustments to the game, we included more cards and we downsized a bit of the number of pages in the books, and we are deciding on some Kickstarter exclusives. So we are still working with the manufacturers to get to a final cost.
Right. Okay.
It will also depend a bit on how much we expect from people, so we can get the funding goal set right, and the funding goal will determine how much will be the price point range. Because if we produce more games, they will be cheaper, because we will dilute the price of the tooling.
Yes.
And the manufacturer will produce then at a lower price. So we're still getting things done, but it will be about the same thing you can expect from other games of the same quality and genre.
Okay. Because you're what Kickstarter was created for. I mean, you are the guys that have put some work in, have a really, really good idea, have put the time in, and now what you need people to step up with their money and put their money behind you to kind of make sure that this kind of, you're changing an idea into an actual kind of reality for this.
Yeah, we really, besides the quality of the production, we really trust the mechanics. We really trust the over 1,000 play tests we have made in the past 6 years. We really trust that this game has a great future. So it's not as demanding on us personally when we have to spend a bit more money here and when we have to spend more time. Actually, the personal costing, time consuming from this game is enormous, but we do it gladly because we know people will enjoy it. We will have we have the potential to lay a new landmark in the board game industry of this game.
Are there other this is when I appear ignorant, but are there a lot of other designer developers in Brazil who are developing their games who are looking on you to see how you do? There are many aspiring designers. I think people with good ideas are out there everywhere, but like we discussed today, it is very demanding to do something over here. We have been approached by some people who even wanted us to, since we established the company in USA, we're gonna have a Kickstarter charged in US dollars. They even approached us wanting to try out their game so we can publish them as well and something like that. You know, there are crowdfunding platforms as well here in Brazil, but with a much more limited market. Because even though Brazil is giant, the board game industry here is still crawling. It's starting to grow every time more, but it's nowhere near in development as is in the US. But we have many cool people here with cool ideas. I think in the next, 15 years, 20 years, you're gonna hear much more about Brazil. Well, you're gonna be you're probably gonna be one of the guys that's gonna be in charge of that, if you know.
The historical.
They'll be looking back, and this will be like, well, this is where you first heard. This is where you first heard about the company. But I mean, is it?
But it is demanding in several aspects. You know, one of the things that makes me more sad actually about being physically distant is the impossibility to go to several conventions that happen in the US. You know, we have to use representatives and people who will distribute things about the game. We had people in Essen, most recently in Germany, who were giving away promotional cards to raise awareness about our game, but we can't be physically present there, and that is something that really kills me. I really want to each time more people trying out the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's, as I say, something's got to start everywhere. I mean, we're the same. I mean, we're obviously thousands of miles away from, from PAX Unplugged, which has just happened. Essen itself is a little bit, it's closer, but it's still a trip. I mean, it's lucky there's quite a few kind of conventions within the UK, but I mean, obviously for ourselves being in Scotland, going to the Board Game Geek Con would be kind of like a dream. Well, maybe one day we'll meet up there, Dan.
That would be great.
that would be
that would be great.
That'd be the idea.
We can't be everywhere at the same time, but it really is painful to me to know that many people are missing out on our game because we simply cannot be. At least if we could be in conventions all over the US, it would already make me really happy. But to circumvent that, we are currently talking to people from Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator to see if we can get a good prototype version of our game there. And we will soon disclose more about that and more about the mechanics and how the game is played, also on Board Game Geek. So if there's anyone interested in listening, you can subscribe to our game there, and we will soon have more news.
Excellent. Is there other games on the kind of the design table for yourselves? I mean, I take it you've got quite a few games that you would like to. I mean, is there other ones that you're kind of expanding on the kind of the Arena universe? Have you got other ideas? Do you have other ideas for a game that you'd like to kind of design and get to the table at all?
That's funny because amongst us, my partners and I, we had to draw a line and say, no, we cannot develop this product any further, or we are not going to launch it. We had to pin the nail. I don't know if that's the right expression. I use many expressions that are born in Brazil. Yeah. But we had to set a line in which you said, okay, this product is finished. We cannot put any more things in it because this game will not get done. And we had a game with over 1,000 playtests. So if anything we produce right now will be at a less developed, with more chances to get in trouble, So anytime any of us comes with an idea, like, oh, I got a great idea, you have to check that out, look what we can do, we can put this, and we can have cards that do that, and we always answer to each other, okay, save it for Arena 2.0. Save it for an expansion. We can talk about that later after the Kickstarter launches. You can then pitch that idea to us again, and we can work on that. But the game is done. Please, the game is done.
Excellent.
But we have many ideas. I have many ideas concerning stories, and my partners have other great ideas regarding mechanics. One thing that I would say to aspiring designers out there is something that many people used to say to aspiring writers as well, which is murder your darlings. Sometimes you are so focused on how good you think your idea is that you have trouble recognizing that it could harm your overall product, your game. We had once one idea for a tile. It would be an altar. And this altar would give amazing powers, but you would have to use it carefully, and it would have many options of use, and you could step on it, and it would give you some power. But people simply did not understand it, did not like it, did not use it. But we liked that idea. Oh my God, it would be so great when people understand it. When people get to understand how this works, they will love it, but it simply does not work. So we had to take a humble approach and eliminate things on the game. So that's one thing I recognize many aspiring designers have. They overcomplicate their games because they have a great understanding about it, and they want to put their amazing complex ideas into it, and it simply makes the game not work as well as it could.
Okay.
So that's why we are done with putting more. We are focused 100% on launching Arena right now, but we have a vast list of new ideas for new games and developments within this own game, because one of the things that also makes Arena incredible, in my opinion, is the vast possibility for expansions and new ideas and new things coming, new tiles, new heroes, new stories. It can also grow. It can grow a lot.
Excellent. If people want to find you on the internet webs, if they've listened tonight and they've thought, this is something that we want to keep an eye on, it's something that we want to be made aware of, it's something that we're even going to consider kind of backing when it comes out, where can we find you out there online?
Well, our main community right now is on Facebook, facebook.com/arena the contest.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Instagram and Twitter pages, instagram.com/arena the contest, twitter.com/arena the contest, and soon we will start to disclose more about the mechanics. We'll talk more about the rules, ask for people's feedback on some things we are still trying to adjust and tweak. And so if you also like to follow that part of the game, you can also subscribe to our game on Board Game Geek. It's still to this point in time, November 20th, we're talking right now, we are still not very developed in Board Game Geek, but we'll soon start to post more there, and you can see more things about the game there soon. So I would say simply follow us on Facebook and subscribe to the game on Board Game Geek. But especially above all, we would ask you to sign up to Dragori Games mailing list.
Yes.
So you can be the first to know the exact date we will launch the game, and all the more pressing, important news we will give to mailing list subscribers first. So you can simply type on your browser arena.st/mail, arena.st/mail, mail, and you can input your email there and subscribe to our mailing list. That would mean the world for us. It would be great.
Well, we will make sure that all of the links are in the show notes, so that anybody that is interested, they can get direct links to kind of follow you that way. For ourselves, if you want to keep an eye on what we are doing, then you can go to Twitter and you'll find us on We're Not Wizards. You can go to Facebook. You can find us on, guess what, We're Not Wizards. You can go to YouTube and find us on, if you search for We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast, you'll find us there. We're on Instagram at We're Not Wizards. We're on all of the podcast places, Spreaker and Stitcher and Acast, and as we say, Podknife, who we like very, very much. Our lovely people, our lovely podcast host Podbean, they automatically put all of our podcasts out on YouTube every time we publish one, which is fantastic. If you like what you've listened to tonight, please consider rating, subscribing, and even reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. And as we say, if you have liked what you've heard, don't give us a 10, because that'll make us big-headed. But don't give us a 1, because that'll make us cry. Give us a 5, because it's in the middle, and it's average, and we are decidedly average. But the gentleman who has not been average tonight is Daniello from the wonderful, the fantastic Dragori Games.
Richard,
yes.
I cannot say how grateful I am for you to have me tonight. I'm really, really honored and grateful, and thank you for having me.
Well, what I will say is, if anybody that's listening tonight, if you are running a podcast, if you are running a YouTube channel, if you are writing a blog, anything to do with board games, and you are interested in seeing something that's different, that is away from the norm, then get in contact with Dan, because I'm sure he'll be more than happy to give you a lot more information about Arena the contest to help kind of get the word out there, and we will make sure that we spread the word kind of far and wide.
Yes. Besides everything, I'm also the community manager for Arena the contest, so I answer all emails, all messages you send. Our email actually is arena@arenathecontest.com. Really
so there
easy.
you go.
You can contact us. I will be very happy to answer everything you
want. Just a quick shout out to everybody who is newly joined us on Patreon. What are you doing? We're really, really grateful for some of the people that have backed us recently, including people like Jason. Thank you very much. Ian, thank you very much. Charlotte, thank you very much. Chris, Sarah, Katie, Graham, thank you very, very much. These are all the new people that have been supporting us on Patreon. I'm not going to give out the address, it's just because it's just shameless, but thank you again for everybody who is kind of supporting us in that way. There are only 2 more things to do, Daniello.
Okay.
The first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Daniello?
No, you are not.
Definitely not. We are tanks, we are priestesses, we are wizards, we are warriors, we are facing off against each other in an arena of fantasy and magic, straight out from Brazil. So there you go. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So again, it's a goodbye from the wonderful Daniello Alcantara.
Just call me Dan, that's easier.
Okay. Say goodbye, Dan.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Richard. It was a pleasure.
It's been a delight speaking to you, and best of luck. I'll tell you what, best of luck for when the game officially launches on Kickstarter. And when it does launch on Kickstarter, we'll get you back on, because no doubt things will change in the next 3-4 months. So we'll get you back on again so you can have a chat just when the campaign's about to come back. Okay?
That would be awesome.
That would be. But it's a goodbye from me as well. So stay safe, roll 6s, and check out new things from other countries. It's called Experience and it's lovely. But until the next time, goodbye.